on the compressed national natural gas, which the Nigerian government, through a presidential initiative steering committee, has announced that 7 CNG conversion centers have been set up in Nigeria. This information was shared by Mr. Zacch Adedeji, the committee's chairman, who was represented by Farouk Ahmed, the chief executive officer of the Nigerian Midstream, Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, the NMDPRA. He highlighted that the establishment of these CNG conversion centers signifies President Bola Tinubu's dedication to leading an energy revolution in the country. He also mentioned that additional CNG centers will be established nationwide, emphasizing that this endeavor represents a crucial step in the country's path towards a cleaner and more economically sustainable future. I'm glad to say we now have to discuss this further, Desmond Agboifo. He is an international energy economics advisor at Desyton Energy. Desmond Agboifo, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and have a good afternoon too.
Desmond, how does the launch of the CNG initiative in Nigeria with these conversion centers, 7 of them, how does it align with the goal of easing the effects of subsidy removal on energy prices?
Well, thank you very much. I think the CNG comes with a lot of benefits. I would imagine that we would have taken up this initiative even earlier than now. But to your question, the CNG brings a lot of opportunity in terms of greener energy consumption. PMS compared to CNG or gas is always a comparable case for understanding, because gas is cleaner. Gas meets the agenda of the accelerated energy transition in Nigeria, and of course, economically, it's still cheaper. So the CNG ambition in Nigeria brings a lot of benefits. We are a gas-enabled economy with perhaps little drops of oil. Just in case in point, I just concluded the International Hydrocarbon Energy Conference that just happened sometime just this week. And the key theme was around the energy transitions agenda and challenges in financing. So I think this is already issues that are in front of the country to ensure that we have gas and all of the benefits of transition to the table, to ensure that gas is used for transition fuel. It is mobility for cheaper options, and of course also meet the bigger goal towards greenhouse emissions, which Nigeria, of course, is part of the biggest emitters in Africa. So that brings a lot of benefits for us economically, and also gives us a good impression in our economic landscape.
Quite interesting. Desmond, what economic implications and potential cost savings can Nigeria anticipate from the transition to CNG as an alternative energy source, especially in the light of the removal of subsidy on petrol?
Great, thank you. I think the MBC has a report in 2013, I think, and that we have about 13 million vehicles in Nigeria, and just about half of that is commercial. So going by that statistics, it's very clear that there's a huge demand for benefits in terms of CNG consumptions. And just before the time of subsidy, to your question, the subsidy, pre-subsidy times, we were looking around 60, 70 million liters a day. And right now it has dropped to about 45 million liters a day. So if we use that number as a proxy to be able to assess the benefit of, say, 10% of the consumptions going into CNG, so sort of balancing the mix that we see in the energy consumption in terms of PMS and CNG, you could see clearly that there's almost a 65 to 70% cost savings. And I'll explain a bit further on that. So number one is the consumption sizes of the conventional fuel. You probably will spend around 45,000 to get your tank full if you drive a sedan. And you probably spend around half of that if you drive the same sedan, but it's powered by CNG. So the economics is strong. It brings a lot of value in terms of cost savings, around 60 to 65%. And for the heavy duty vehicles like the trucks and the tricycles, we'll typically have just around, so for the trucks, we consume around 160, 70 liters consumption, SCM of gas. The gas is measured in the pumps, the standard cubic meter. And if you compare that with the pricing of the diesel that drive the trucks, you have almost 70 and 75% gain still. So across all the spectrum of mobility sources in the country, there's an average of about 70% cost gains, even in today's economy where we're struggling with the subsidy removals, and to see the price of oil going just about almost 20% higher in the last few weeks. So yes, it brings a lot of benefits for the Nigerian people, and it will bring a lot of cost savings also for the consumption of gas.
Quite interesting, Desmond. But what strategies and policies should be put in place to ensure that this CNG initiative of Nigeria's federal government effectively mitigates the negative impacts of the removal of subsidy on petrol on the Nigerian economy?
Great, thank you. I think one of the strategies that I think is on the table right now, I think I mentioned a few of them during the last International Hydrocarbon Conference held in Abuja. And across the panel, I think I addressed two or three key points. We need to have the gas prices that is driven by the market. As much as we understand that there is already a price on the gas in terms from PIA policy that we passed in 2021, the market should really define what the price looks like. And it's clear because as much as investors will need to have a better return on investment for the CNG and gas solutions, the pricing is also very key in the marketplace. That's one. And then I will employ the government to work with the stakeholders to ensure the price is always in tandem with what the market really requires. The reason is simple because as much as the spectrum of spending is not very even in the country, you also want to cater for the lowest income earners to manage expenses for gas-enabled sources and consumption. So policy must be driven towards trying to unify the prices of gas. And number two, another policy that should work in terms of the strategy is to begin to accelerate plans for conversion centers. I mean, you can imagine, I think just yesterday we've seen that the government has pushed a lot of incentives towards trying to subsidize drive CNG conversion centers. I think that's the first case to drive, because as much as you want to cater for 13 million vehicles in Nigeria to potentially use CNGs as a source of fuel, we need to have quite sizable number of stations to be able to have vehicles to be converted.
All right.
And when that is converted, then we now make sure we have the gas CNG stations in place, which I think the government is already making an effort towards.
All right. Just hoping Nigerians will lap it up and embrace it as expected. Desmond, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.